If you want Colts talk all year long, you're in the right place.
Fires upfield into the end zone. It is caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown. He's going to fire upfield. It's broken up. Tipped and intercepted by the Colts.
This is the official Colts Podcast, giving you an updated look at what's new with the Horseshoes.
Colts have it. Interception. 2 seconds left, and the Colts are going to win.
In the Indiana Union Construction Industry radio studio, let's get the podcast started.
Welcome to the Colts official podcast presented by our friends at Wynn Las Vegas. I'm Jeffrey Gorman. Larra Overton's here. JJ Stankevitz is here. This whole crew right here is getting ready to get on a plane very quickly. So we're going to shorten things up a little bit, but a lot to go over. Elo, I want to start with you on this before we get to what's happening in Germany. A homecoming of sorts last weekend in Carolina.
Yeah.
I mean, of sorts. We had the Frank Reich connection. We had Jim Irsay dancing in the locker room afterwards. We had Kenny Moore with an incredible afternoon. The Colts doing whatever it took, never looking behind in this game. I just wanted to start with you because you do have a friendship with Frank Reich. Yeah. How was it seeing the ex-Colts coach?
It was like a football family reunion for a lot of reasons, not only because of course, Frank and how many seasons we spent together here, but his family and then so many people who are on that staff as well, who we knew from being here. And it was great. It was so fantastic to see everyone. It was an absolutely beautiful day in Charlotte. If you guys have not been to that stadium, it's centered kind of right downtown. Right. So like the atmosphere is really neat. It was like 70 degrees and beautiful. So it was like incredible like pregame vibes, like all around. Really good energy. So great to see everyone who was there. A ton of Colts fans, by the way.
There
Colts
was good
so
turnout.
Well, and they were so loud in that fourth quarter. They were chanting Kenny Moore's name. He said it almost felt like he was at Lucas Oil Stadium. And football family reunion for another reason. Kenny Moore's sisters were there for that historic performance that he had. He was able to find them pregame. He said he looked up and identified them during the national anthem to be sure he knew where they were sitting. So when he got the first pick six, I mean, ball across the goal line immediately straight up here and then did it again. So a lot of players had family there. Shaq Leonard pregame. This was really, really cool. I actually posted a clip on Twitter, but when we got to the stadium, I looked out and Shaq was walking the field solo. He had immediately gotten off the bus, dropped his bags, went straight out to the field, and he was soaking it all in. You could tell he was having a bit of a nostalgic moment, and talked to him about it as he was headed toward the locker room. And he said, the last time I was at this stadium, I was watching my brother Anthony play for the Saints. He said that he was in high school and he was sitting with his other brother who has since passed away. And it was just a big full circle moment for Shaq, seeing his brother play in the league. That was, of course, what he aspired to do, having his family there alongside him when he was watching that game, and then had about 100 people who made the 2.5-hour trip from Lakeview, South Carolina.
I love it. I love that you find those stories behind the scenes and stuff like that. Great for Shaq Leonard, and obviously a great win.
He had a great day.
Yeah, and Kenny Moore. Hey, I want to get to that. Let's take a step aside of Kenny Moore's 2 pick sixes for 1 second. Just put those to the side. How did this football team play against this Panther team? Regardless, I understand those a huge help on the afternoon, but put those aside for a second.
I want to talk about the offense a little bit because they didn't play up to the standard that we've been used to them playing to. Putting up yards, putting up points, all of that. I thought this was a really well-called game by Shane Steichen. For one reason, they didn't turn the ball over. You look back at it, okay, they averaged 3.5 yards per play. They didn't gain over 200 yards. Teams, by the way, over the last 5 years are 9-88 when not gaining over 200 yards in a game. The Colts were one of those 9 to win. But it's because Shane Steichen got to the point where he said, look, our defense is going to win us this game. So Gardner Minshew has been turning the ball over a little bit as of late. We are not going to put this offense in a position where we're risking a turnover. Call the game very just down the middle and trust that the defense is going to win it, and that's exactly what happened. I thought that this was another feather in the cap for me with Shane Steichen, that he has a feel for what his team needs every single week on game day. Some weeks it's going to be, you know what, we got to air it out, we got to get real aggressive on offense, try to score 30-plus points. Some weeks it's going to be, you know what, this is a close game that our defense is playing really well in. Let's let them take it and not put them in any bad situations by turning the ball over. There weren't any short fields. I guess there was one short field on the Isaiah McKenzie drop punt. Colts were able to, overcome that on defense. But beyond that, I thought it was a really well-called game by Shane Steichen. Yeah, he said, you wish you had scored more points. You wish you would have been more efficient on offense in the second half. But he also said there are some games where you get aggressive, and in the second half, that was not one of those games.
A comfortable 2-score win, Larra, and JJ talks about them offensively and winning in the fashion that they did. But Kenny Moore, I want to get back to that. First of all, when does that happen? Has that happened, did I hear right, 8 or 9 times in the NFL before?
I believe it was 9 times in league history, but it was the first time in Colts franchise.
No,
First time.
It's happened 30 times in league history, but only 10 times in the last 25 years.
10 times in the last 25.
And it has never happened in Colts history. The last time it happened was Brian Edwards, who's a Buccaneers safety. He did it in week 2 of the 2021 season. But you look at I looked this up yesterday because I'm into, I'm a dork when it comes to numbers. What Kenny Moore did over the last 25 seasons happens 1 in 652 games.
Wow.
That is rare.
That's
with
a lot.
capital
That's a
R.
lot of NFL games. Yeah,
That's like 3 seasons, basically.
I had heard, the only thing I heard about this was somebody named Henry Jones or Rogers or something did this against us, against the opposition, where that had 2
great
pick
news.
sixes.
I have the list right here.
Yep. So that was interesting. And by the way, I just want to give some love to possibly, and I'm calling it right now, if he's not a Pro Bowler and an All-Pro, Larra Overton, DeForest Buckner this year has been just train-wrecking people, and we saw it again against the Carolina Panthers.
And he's taken on even a heavier workload trying to kind of step in and play basically like he's like a player and a half in supplement to losing Grover Stewart, obviously, for the 6 games. And that's a huge part of why Kenny was able to get those 2 interceptions is because the defensive front, led by DeForest Buckner, but it was so well balanced across. You had Eric Johnson the second, you had Adetomo Adebare stepping up.
First
there
sack,
was
the first pick 6, excuse me. It was Isaiah Land and Jake Martin coming in.
So I think but all of that centers around DeForest Buckner. And he was the one who was able to first get pressure early on to disrupt Bryce Young, because when I talked to DeForest last week about, what he has seen from him, he's like, great vision, makes good adjustments in the line of scrimmage, very quick release, of course, ability to make plays with his legs. So, they knew that they were going to have to be very effective early on, because if Bryce was able to find a rhythm in the passing game, he could easily, very quickly get that offense rolling and kind of on schedule. So the credit for what that defense in its entirety was able to do for all 4 quarters should go to DeForest Buckner. And here are the 2 most encouraging things for me coming out of that win is you closed a game out. That is where, in talking to guys in the locker room, we haven't finished games. We haven't closed, games out in that 3-game losing streak. And you did exactly that in convincing fashion. And then it was also a testament to this team at the midway point of the season, finding ways to win in different ways. So much of it had been the offense had to score so heavily in the wins, whereas the defense had been giving up a whole lot of points, and you'd been exposed on the back end in particular because of injuries within the secondary. This was one that went completely differently. The defense won you that game. And I think that now, as this team is figuring out where it can win games in different fashions and have to adjust and, call games differently to play into what other teams are giving you. This was, I thought, one of the best in terms of just kind of overall convincing. We're going to go out from the opening kickoff and be the more dominant team all afternoon.
I just want to throw one last thing out on this game. The Panthers offense kind of runs through Adam Thielen, right?
Well,
top 10 in receptions,
yeah.
top, one of the more productive receivers in the NFL this year. Adam Thielen primarily lines up in the slot. He played 50 snaps in the slot in Week 9, 20 out wide. He had 5 catches for 29 yards. You want to know who did that to him? Kenny Moore.
Wow.
It wasn't just Kenny having the 2 pick sixes. Kenny shut down
Thielen, yeah.
Bryce Young's favorite target, and the Panthers didn't have an answer.
How big of this was a feather in the cap, facing a rookie quarterback, but coming back after giving up a ton of points the last 2 games for Gus Bradley, and doing this in the fashion that he did, and needing that sort of thing, and they just answered. There was no breakdown in the fourth, and they finished the job. How important was that for Gus Bradley after coming off 2 losses that were just so many
giving
points?
up a lot of points. I mean, this is a game you got to build on now. You had a great game. I thought this is the best the Colts rush and coverage played together all year. where the pass rush was hitting home, the coverage was good. Darrell Baker Jr. had a good game on the outside. Jalen Jones had a good game on the outside. And now you got to continue it. The Patriots, that New England offense is not to the level that the Colts had faced in weeks past, especially with New Orleans and Jacksonville. But they're still an NFL offense. They still got players. They got
I think it's
Ramondre
interesting,
Stevenson,
though. You've played
Pop
them the
Douglas,
last
those
two
guys.
seasons, though. You know, like you're coming off, you played them last year in Foxborough, and then 2021 you had them at home.
That game in Foxborough, New England couldn't really move the ball. They had the block punt, and that was really the key. I know they won, was it 26-3? But it wasn't like they were moving the ball up and down the field on the Colts.
No,
it
they
was
just
a
had
pretty
like 9 sacks.
What does Belichick do, guys? Who he's going to shut down? Is he shutting down Jonathan Taylor and Gardner Minshew has to win the game in Germany, or is that how it's going to roll?
The thing that worries me this week, and we got to keep an eye on, is Josh Downs' status, where he exited the game with a knee injury. If Downs doesn't play, does that lead Belichick to go more all out in defending the run? Whereas if Downs plays, he's a guy
Take away Downs.
Yeah, I think he would be a guy Belichick would look to take away with the impact he has and the production he's had this season. But if he doesn't play, then Belichick obviously doesn't have to worry about it.
Larra, Mac Jones, we know this guy. I mean, you talked about games recently going on, and people are like, is he our guy? Is he not our guy? Bill Belichick in a position where he hasn't been on this side of the win-loss record that he's looking at right now, and the people in New England are saying, hey, what's going on here? Hey, you talk about catching a couple teams at the right time. Carolina, rookie quarterback coming off a win, great win. And on paper, this is a Colts win on paper when you look at it, and it's a must-win to keep the playoff chances alive.
Yeah, and especially to carry that momentum. If you can have back-to-back wins going into the bye week, that does a whole lot to project you into that December stretch. The Colts will be back at home following the bye, too. Ooh. What a great opportunity that you have in that situation as well.
What is the number to get to? Like, what is that number when you're sitting at, say, knock on wood, they get a Colts victory, and we're looking at 500 from that point on. What's that number that's going to sneak in this sort
9.
of weird?
I was going to say 9 as well.
9 wins, huh?
I think it's 9.
Wow.
You look at the AFC being kind of all over the place. Absolutely. Cleveland, New York, L.A. Those are all teams that are Pittsburgh are all kind of in that are they going to do it? Are they not? In that sort of 500-ish range, and the Colts could be right in that discussion.
Wow, it's coming. I mean, it has to happen one at a time.
You also still have 2 divisional games to play, too. You'll play in Nashville, and then you'll play at home against Houston.
The Colts only have 2 teams that currently have a winning record left on their schedule, Cincinnati and Pittsburgh.
Thought that was a trivia question coming up. I was going to be prepared for that one.
It was.
Speaking of fun.
All right, I think we're down to 4 trivia questions.
Well, hey, give me that one.
Hey, you led me right into that one, and I got thinking, and this is my own rundown, and I just screwed it up.
It was.
All right,
okay.
4 trivia questions.
Here we go. Comes some trivia time, Larra. This is going to be fun. It's not me competing versus you.
No, here's
it's
the thing.
us versus JJ.
Answers.
Let's put it that way, all right?
You can?
Yeah.
They're in white in the rundown. Don't highlight them.
Yeah. Well, be trickier, Stankevitz.
Oh, okay.
Well, Gorman printed his out,
I
so
don't
he
have
didn't show
anything.
up.
I don't
we
have
should just
anything.
ask Gorman.
All right.
Just ask Gorman.
Okay. Well, now this becomes Ask Gorman and Ask Our Audience. Let's ask our audience.
Here we go. Well, I'll play against you. And by the way, it's LO and I because she does have an insider sort of. I may lean on Larra for a couple of these. So
I'm
let
your
them rip.
phone a friend.
Little Colts trivia.
Okay. All right. So here we go, Jeffrey. We're going to play Colts trivia with Jeffrey and our listeners and viewers.
Here we go.
Question number 1. 6 players have been targeted 50 times this season and have not dropped a pass. 0 drops. 6 players. Which Colts player is among those 6?
See, here's the thing. I know the question. I heard it before the show, and I'm going to go one of 2 guys, and those 2 guys, in my opinion, would be Pitt Jr. and Josh Downs, but I can see in my head these guys with a couple of drops in games past, so I don't know where I'm at right now because I know they're targeted over 50, so
Number one, Josh Downs.
Josh Downs,
Yep.
number 1.
I think Pittman only has 1 drop.
Pittman, 1 drop.
And this is from Pro Football Focus's numbers, but that's a lot of targets, and that is 0 drops.
How impressive is that for a rookie?
Guys,
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
crazy.
In my head, and this is why I said it, I had him on his rear end trying to catch a pass that he didn't catch, where he was like sitting on the turf.
Does that count as a drop, though?
I don't know. That's why I was saying, like, I'm remembering that game from 2-3 games ago where he was kind of in a sitting position trying to catch and the ball spit out. So I was like, is it Pitt? I didn't.
I think we keep talking about Josh Downs of like it's not too big for him. It's not too big for him. The Colts are expanding what he's doing.
Yep.
If you look at his usage inside, outside.
And a lot of people talking about him around the league, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's on football shows, whether it's radio and TV, everybody's saying keep an eye out for this guy.
One thing, too, that I just wonder is the decision to pull him out of that game in Carolina. I think it was a big picture. Let's mitigate the situation when you look at, you've got international travel and the fact that we feel really confident with the guys we do have involved right now. You think about, too, Drew Ogletree looked like he was moving around pretty well on the sidelines. Not that I can deduce a whole lot from a medical perspective, right? But kind of late in that game, he was examined for the foot injury. He was doubtful, then ruled out. Also kind of one of those things where I think that from the medical staff standpoint, they're looking at, okay, could he play through it? Probably. But is there a greater risk of, okay, now we got to think about the limited window that you have to get the treatment on site to then get turned around. How are you going to feel coming off, the international travel? So I also think about, I would think, not having any knowledge of the severity necessarily of what Josh is dealing with, that his limitations against Carolina, we're looking at, okay, we feel like that we can beat Carolina with the guys that we have, and we do know this is the guy we gotta have if we're going to go in there and be able to get a win in Frankfurt.
By the way, Josh Downs' last play of the game, he went in motion to the left on a run that went to the right. So it wasn't like he caught a pass, there was contact, he was down.
No, yeah.
So I think that might speak to a little bit of what you're talking about there, Larra, which would be encouraging. All right, question number 2.
Let's have it.
There are 193 offensive linemen to play at least 100 snaps this season. Stick with me here. How many Colts offensive linemen rank in the top half of that 193 by Pro Football Focus's pass blocking grades?
Is there plays? I mean, is there at least this amount of plays?
100 snaps.
100
pass
snaps,
blocking
you said?
snaps.
100 snaps? I'm going to go, Larra, you can laugh at me. I'm going to say 4 out of the 5 offensive linemen. No, I beg your pardon.
Stick with it.
Four out of the 5 offensive. Yeah, why not? I'll put Ryman in. I'll put Freeland in. I'll put Quentin in, and I'll put Kelly in. Oh no! Wait.
Yeah, this is great.
It is good. What? Yeah, but I want to give some Will Fries. I need to give some love to.
He's in there.
What?
Quentin
is it 5 out of 5?
It is 5 out of 5. Quentin Nelson and Ryan Kelly are 14th. Bernard Ryman is 22nd. Will Fries is 53rd, and Braden Smith is 76th.
And Braden Smith has missed the last 2 games?
So it's 100 snaps. So Braden still gets in there.
He gets in there. Okay, I beg your pardon. But I threw Freeland in there thinking, okay, I know he's got 100 snaps, but okay, well, 5 out of 5.
That's your starting 5 right there.
That's good.
We'll see when Braden comes back. I talk about this a lot. I think offensive line, you can have 4 of the 5 best offensive linemen in the league and one guy who's a weak link, and you're going to get picked on through that weak link. The Colts do not have a weak link on that line. And then the flip side, they have 3 guys, to me, in Nelson, Kelly, and Ryman, who are playing near the top of their positions when it comes to pass blocking.
Wow, well said. I mean, geez, you talk about having a great problem that Shane Steichen doesn't have. The foundation of the offensive line in this offense, and that includes Ryan Kelly, who's getting up there. I understand that. Quentin Nelson.
Ryan Kelly's having an awesome season.
Yeah, great. But
also,
you're
can
talking.
we get a Pro Football grade on Tony Sperano Jr.?
How about that? How about it?
That's the guy.
Well,
that's the guy you give the grade
so
to.
when
right?
Shane Steichen was building his coaching staff, the most important position he hired for was the offensive line coach. You think about what that does for an entire team, number 1. Number 2, the resources the Colts have put into their offensive line. Those 2 things, you had to get this group to play up to their standard. And Tony Sperano has not only done that, I think they've exceeded it. They've exceeded expectations.
Coming from last year, Larra, where it was, and now everybody talking, even the year before that a little bit, the drop-off, and to see this come back with that core foundation, I love it. And again, we're all looking forward to this year, but I'm just even looking down second, third year of Shane Steichen, here as the head coach. It's very exciting. I know we got to get going. You got another trivia
Here's
for
number
me.
3. So we're taking Pro Football Focus grades for what you will.
Are you on their payroll?
No.
Okay.
But I look at that stuff, and a lot of people look
And
at
it's
that
good.
stuff, and I think as a ballpark figure, it usually is pretty good.
Oh, I got a question. Is it a pay site?
Yeah.
It is a pay site.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's got to be good.
Well, again, ballpark figure. But according to Pro Football Focus, who are the Colts' top two skill position players by Pro Football Focus grades? The two highest graded skill positions. So we're talking
hold on.
wide
Running
receiver,
backs,
running back,
tight
tight
end.
end.
Okay, I know who they are. They're Josh Downs and Drew Ogletree.
That is correct.
Yes.
Nice work.
Yes.
You've been listening to the podcast.
Yes. Okay.
Because every week I'm like, man, Drew Ogletree playing really well.
But
Really
the reason
well.
I pause for a second is how many targets does he? I don't know. How many targets does he have this year?
I don't know, maybe 20.
20?
But you know
he's
what?
delivered on those.
He is
pretty much.
He is physical in the run game. He's digging guys out. The impact he's having.
I love it.
He's developed
look,
so much as a blocker.
Oh my goodness, he's been so good.
I mean,
on that
obviously,
end.
it's kind of not really pertinent to this specific question,
Right.
but just comprehensively, the leap that he's been able to take coming off of last season, which was a redshirt year, basically because of the injury, it's just incredible.
You talk about building blocks for the future. We talked about the offensive line. Downs and Ogletree, those are two guys who are absolute building blocks of what this team can be in the future. All right, last one since I blew trivia question number 5 already. Kenny Moore II is allowing 8.3 yards per reception when targeted this year. Where does that rank in the NFL?
One more time. 8.3?
8.3 yards per reception when targeted. Where does that rank in the NFL?
Okay, I'm going to probably be totally wrong, but I don't like that number. I think that's a high number for that position, and people may call me dumb right now, but I'm going to call that 14th in the league.
Third.
Really? So what's one? What's one? If Kenny's at 3 at 8.
One. All right, I can pull one up real quick here. But it's
got to be 6
he's pretty
something,
close.
right?
He's pretty close. The point is when you throw at Kenny, you're not getting a whole lot.
Right.
It is and that's because Kenny isn't just a good cover corner. He's tackling really well. So you're not getting a lot of yak on
Okay,
him.
just a little self-promotion right here.
Let's have it.
Tune in to Colts 360 as you know, you're either Saturday night, Sunday morning, kind of getting ready for game day. You've got the early kickoff, maybe, pull it up on YouTube, pull it up on Colts.com, watch it locally if you're in Indianapolis, around the state, airs locally as well, Fox and CBS in Indianapolis. But I talked with Kenny this week about how much he prides himself on his versatility, but, being able to blitz, the numbers with the TFLs, the sacks, the takeaways, all of it. And that is where he lit up the most. He just takes so much pride in being able to move around. He's like, that's what's so fun, is being able to be utilized. And for your coaching staff, your teammates to have that type of confidence in you, to put you in various situations, and you're not just pigeonholed in terms of being just one type of player. It was so much fun to talk to him about exactly that. And Shane Steichen said of Kenny Moore, that is a guy you point to, like when younger players are like, okay, how do I do this? How do I become a pro? How do I conduct myself on the practice field? And he like points to Kenny. Watch what he does. Watch the time he takes after practice. Watch how locked in he is in meetings. Watch how he leads. All of those things from Kenny. And
Larra,
that's just such development.
By the way, I was a little bit inaccurate because I wrote that question before Monday Night Football. Apparently, Sauce Gardner passed Kenny. Last night we're talking about Sauce Gardner passing him.
All right.
It's, pretty good.
With one game
so
last
Kenny's
night.
now 4th.
I get you. Okay, that's fine.
Also, when targeted, he's allowing a passer rating of 64.8, which is 8th. The lowest passer rating in the NFL among regular starting quarterbacks is Daniel Jones at 70.5.
Really? Larra, I need this in a nutshell. Kenny Moore from last year to Kenny Moore from this year. What changed?
Oh, I think a lot of things. I think it was a lot of self-reflection. I think it's a lot of maturity. I think it was a lot of conversations with Chris Ballard about, hey, here is what I feel like I need to have, in my role, like this is where I feel like I was limited. This is where I feel like I need to be challenged, where I need to grow, because Kenny and Chris have a really strong rapport.
Yeah, right.
They really, really do. And I think that they can have really honest conversations, and going through what he did last year, I think he understands like the position that he's in. It took just a lot of investing in the system, learning the system, working with Coach Milas and working with Gus about how he can be utilized and how he can develop within a completely different system, because he'd spent so much time with Eberflus, right? And Flus is the one who called him lightning in a bottle, and that's where he found his role, was in that particular. So this is just a huge adjustment. I mean, I remember Kenny looking at me at one point in the year last year, and he was just so frustrated, and I was just, kind of talking with him one day, and he's like, I'm just struggling in this system and just finding my fit. He was just really candid with it all. And he wasn't pointing to anyone else. He wasn't saying, that was a problem of that he didn't agree with, the way things were being run. It was just that he was struggling with, how do I take what I've been able to do in the league, and I feel like I have this level of expectation now. I've been a Pro Bowler. That's what I want to be every single year. I want to be one of the top corners in the NFL. How am I doing that when now, the role is somewhat different in this system, and I got a lot of other guys around me who are playing.
If nothing else, his demeanor from last year to this year is night and day, and it's showing on the field.
I think as you're talking about that, I was thinking back to something Chris Ballard said at the owners' meetings down in Phoenix in March, and he said, "We fielded trade calls for Ryan Kelly and Kenny Moore II. We kept them because they're good Colts." Look at us now.
Good move.
Look at them now. They are arguably two of the 5 best players on this team this season.
Here's what I will say is I think Kenny is a better leader because of what he went through last year. I think it is now one of those things where other guys in this locker room can relate to him, because Kenny can say, not everything has been easy. Not everything has gone perfectly planned. Like, I've had adversity prior to last year, breaking his way, finding a spot in the league, going to New England. I think Colts picked him up off of the practice squad, right?
Right.
Waivers, yeah.
Waivers, yeah, exactly. And so you look at how he's navigated this to now becoming the type of player and finding the level of success that he is at this point in his career as one of the longest tenured Colts in this locker room. The other thing that he said of his performance, last week, he said that he does not take these for granted, because he understands, one, how hard it is to get to this point, and how now, being 28 years old as a cornerback, you start to think about, like, how do I have longevity? How do I have staying power in this league? Something that I think really has helped Kenny Moore as well was the presence of Stephon Gilmore last year.
There it is. Kenny Moore, you get to this week's Attaboy. I'm going to throw a couple more out there. Chris Ballard, you kept Ryan Kelly. You kept Kenny Moore. I'm going to give you an Attaboy. And somebody we kind of glanced right over, the leading tackler in the NFL had headphones on and a T-shirt last Sunday, and we didn't talk about this defense and doing what they did without Zaire Franklin. Very quickly, JJ, before we say goodbye and Guten Tag, because we're headed to Germany soon.
I mean, without Zaire Franklin and without Grover Stewart. I mean, you think about those two guys being the core of this run defense, and you're without both of them, and Carolina put up 13 points. Kenny Moore put up 14.
How about that? At JJ Stankevitz on Twitter X, at Larra Overton on Twitter X, and where can we see the 360 with Kenny Moore? Give me it.
It'll be on Colts.com, Colts YouTube, and then if you are in Indianapolis, it is 11:30 Saturday night on CBS 4, and then it's Sunday morning as well, Fox 59 and CBS 4.
You just TiVo it. That's what you do, right? You can just TiVo it.
TiVo it?
TiVo.
I heard Tebow.
TiVo or
Colts,
TiVo.
Colts YouTube is probably the best way to find it, because you can watch it on your phone at any point in time.
Okay. Also, we have, don't forget, the Colts Audio Network and radio Inside Football with Rick Venturi. It's going to be out on Wednesday, giving the blueprints for the Colts to beat the Patriots in Week 10.
Patriots.
Another episode of the official Colts podcast is going to land on Thursday with Mayte, Casey Valier, Bill Brooks, and a player that is to be determined. Larry, you got any insight on that? Who they got this week?
We're still figuring out if we can get a player back here.
Because of the German trip.
Flying to Germany.
Yep.
Kind of a big deal.
Okay, join them. They're going to have a player back here, and that is to look ahead to Sunday's
there's always
game.
A player back here because you got Bill Brooks.
That's a great
right.
point.
Bill Brooks is always back here. Speaking of Bill Brooks, and by the way, that'll be a preview of the Patriots game against the Colts in Germany. Casey Valier, Bill Brooks bring you the instant reaction with this gentleman as well. No.
I'm going to be flying back from Germany.
You will be flying back. Casey stepping in. Normally, JJ Stankevitz.
Pinch
again,
hitting like Scott Spezio.
At JJ Stankevitz. And fun fact time, JJ, you know how this works. I did a little research on you and stuff. I know that you have some German cooking in your background. You used to host a German cooking show in Chicago. What is schnitzel? What is the definition of Wiener Schnitzel?
Isn't schnitzel like pounded out pork and then it's fried? Isn't it similar to a tenderloin?
Hello, help me here.
That sounds right.
Look, when I went to Germany once, and
Well, so you're
I
going
had
to
a lot
Germany
of
to get-
Spätzle and a lot of beer.
Spätzle, what's that now?
Is
Like
it
German
better than
noodles.
boiled beef?
Oh no. Boiled beef in Germany's a thing?
No, I was just asking if
Oh.
the schnitzel is better
No,
than
it's,
boiled
it's
beef.
like
no,
deep
no,
fried.
no,
It's like
no.
pounded meat, like he said. I don't know whether it's pork or
Look,
chicken or whatever.
Mystery meat. I don't know. I do know that I'm gonna try to eat as much Thai food as I can in Germany.
Why is that?
That's
I don't know,
odd.
because it's just better than German food.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't like German food. Okay.
I bet one of the best Thai food two foods I ever had was
Okay.
in
I'm a steady diet of giant pretzels
yeah.
and maybe
You know who will
some
be a
lagers.
huge star in Germany? This woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will be. No, watch. How many? Answer me now. How many morning shows are you doing?
None.
None yet?
No, I am hosting. I am 9. I am
Nine?
hosting. No, like 9 is none, right? It's not right.
Yeah, right.
Okay. No, I'm hosting the pub party though on Friday night for all the Colts fans who are over in Frankfurt. So I
Okay,
am doing
good.
that.
That'll be
But,
fun.
Yeah.
Also, you guys are going to be at an Ursay party, I hear. He's
Yeah,
throwing a
yeah.
little,
Very nice,
little
yeah.
generous
dinner,
dinner,
with an
yeah.
outdoor Christmas
excited.
wonderland.
Oh, now you're blowing, Jeffrey.
Is there something?
Gonna get Christmas presents for the family, and now you're just.
No,
Betsy's gonna
okay,
listen to
no.
this and be like, "Well, now there goes that
I'm
surprise."
sorry about that,
Way to
Stankevitz
bust
family.
me
It's not like
on
I
that
said what
one.
you're
Halloween
Well,
Wonderland
Yeah, but now
will
she
be
knows there's going to be some Christmas things.
there. Hey, I don't mind screwing it up.
Hey,
But
Betsy,
A
don't
German
listen to
Christmas
this part.
market, A+ by the way. would
last
recommend.
question. You have 9 hours on this aircraft. You may be
yeah.
flying for 8.5 of them, but you will be sitting down for at least 9 hours. What are you doing to kill the time?
Absolutely. I'm
I know
sleeping.
sleep
I
comes
can
into
sleep
play
anywhere.
But
If I can't sleep, I'm watching John Wick 4 3 times.
Oh no,
John
I'm
Wick
just gonna, I am
4?
Yeah,
sleeping.
it's 2.5 hours.
No, we could
But I
get
can't
Tucker
sleep
on the
on
podcast right now. He will tell you.
I
can
need to talk to you
sleep
about that
anywhere.
on
I was
another
asleep in the car
podcast.
just
Okay.
yesterday.
John Wick has like 12 murders every minute.
Oh, it's the
that
best.
it's on screen. So what is it? What's going on with you?
the
and
best plane
You
movie.
like watching 244 murders by
it's great.
Keanu Reeves over the course of
Yeah.
an hour and a half.
I'm not a plain movie watcher.
No.
Yeah,
No.
I'm usually not either, but John Wick keeps me very entertained.
Pro tip: I like to download a lot of Peloton meditations, and I'll pop my AirPods in, and there's like really good sleep meditations. So
Right.
you do like a 20-minute Peloton sleep meditation.
Okay, hey, I'm gonna do what I can to sleep, and just
Three
like you
cheers
said,
for melatonin.
maybe see what kind of internet we have on the aircraft. What else is going on? Yeah, there's probably gonna be a polka band when we land there. You guys will be greeted by
Tubas.
German and stuff.
Tubas
And by
and
the way,
such.
I've been to Frankfurt. It's been early '90s since I am. Just keep in mind, it's very clean. What I remember is the taxi cabs.
The Kenosha Kickers.
the taxi cabs are Mercedes. The place is impeccably clean, and it's the financial capital of Germany. So it is what it is. There's a
Yeah.
lot of tall buildings around everywhere with manicured lawns and men's in suits.
Get your lederhosen ready.
That's it. I'm ready. Hey, for Larra, Overton, JJ Stankevitz, I'm Jeffrey Gorman. This is, again, the official Colts podcast brought to you by our friends at Wynn Las Vegas. JJ, I know we're going to have some stories from Germany and your German cooking.